Good morning. It is experimentation day here in the wood yard. Not the kind of experimentation you did back in college. A little bit different. Today we are going to be trying to remedy the situation I ran into with having mold develop on the outside of this maple log after I took the bark off. So if you're just tuning in, I'll recap you in a little bit, but let me show you what is going to be going on. So over here are the two logs, that one and this one, that all the bark is stripped off, but unfortunately once I did that, a few days later, this black mold developed on it. So I'm going to be taking those two logs and cutting them into 5.5-inch cookies to eventually run through the Kiln and make some back 40 mini firewood. So the other day I took two chunks and I just split off the outside bark, because I either have to separate this out after it's split, in which case like this would be potentially 4 to 5 pieces, or I decided I could just do it before I split these big chunks down. So once I have these chunks with all of the mold removed, I'm going to take them, split them into mini firewood with the Kiln 200 over here, and then right from the Kiln we're going to go right into the kiln so that when the wood goes in, it's going to immediately begin drying. I do have a little fire going as well. It's cooled off here in Wisconsin, so little wood yard fire is something I like to have when I'm out here working. But anyway, so yeah, I want to get the wood right after it's split right into the kiln, and then we will see if that prevents that mold from showing up again. Because some of the feedback I got is that this maple contains a lot of sugars and sap and water. So once you remove the bark, that stuff is exposed to the air, and then that's where that mold develops. The first step is going to be taking these logs. I'm going to use the Wolf Ridge log stand over here to cut the cookies off. Then the cookies will go onto the Wolf Ridge splitter. We'll shave off these edges. We'll put all the chunks on these pallets here, and then I'll take the pallet over to the Kiln. So the first step in this experiment is seeing if I'm going to be able to get this log actually into that log stand. That's a little separate experiment in and of itself. So we shall see how this works. I'm thinking I can just, with the forks, get it close and then just push it in, but I don't know. There goes a little buck. All right, so that didn't go too bad. I kind of want to have it though a little more level. Ooh, just like that. I think that looks good. Time to make some cookies. chunk I think I will save for boiler wood. One more log to go. So yes, I understand it is a bit more of a process. It may seem like there's a lot of futzing around and a lot of steps involved, but that is just part of getting a quality product produced. I would not want someone to order a box of mini firewood, get it delivered, have them open it up, and as they're looking at the pieces of mini firewood inside that box, come to the conclusion that, or have the appearance of mold being all over the wood. Because chances are they might be keeping this wood in their house, on their patio, close to their house. And I just think it would be, it would give bad optics, it would be bad presentation. So I want to avoid that at all costs. So that is why, yes, I'm going through maybe a little bit more of a process. All right, I have finished running all of the chunks through the Kiln. Everything is split and overflowing out the other end, but we have some beautiful looking mini splits of maple. So this stuff now I'm going to take and put into the micro kiln. I got the top basket already full. I'm going to fill this stuff, or this one up down here. Let's quick check the moisture reading on some of this. 36, 37 on that. This one we've got 32, 37, 36. So this stuff is definitely needs to dry down. We'll see how much moisture percentage we lose after the afternoon here cooking in the micro kiln. All right, so I just drilled out a few pieces and put the probes in. They are all set inside the micro kiln, and you can see here we are reading internal temps of 42 to 44 degrees, so pretty cold inside that wood. And now we're gonna have to get a little fire going. I think I'm just gonna scoop some coals from that fire right there into there and get it cooking. We are burning away inside the kiln, and I have a feeling it's going to take a little bigger fire now that the temps have cooled off. So we're not even up to 100 degrees yet inside the kiln, and surprisingly the temperature of the wood has actually dropped. So we are now down to 40 and 41 degrees of the internal temp of all of the pieces of wood in there. So the temp dropped a couple degrees. I didn't put everything in the kiln, so this stuff right here I'm going to take over and put in the greenhouse, and we're just going to let this stuff air dry, and we're going to see if any of that surface mold returns. So it's been almost 20 minutes since I fired this thing up, and we have just crossed over 200 degrees inside the kiln. So I have to damper that down and try to hold that heat right about there. I don't want it to get too hot in there, but right about 220, 200, that's about ideal. And the temperature inside the wood, we have come up to 51 and 47. So temps inside, internal temp of the wood is rising. So we've got the internal temp of the wood going up. We've got the inside temperature of the kiln set right about where we want it, right there between 200 and 225. We'll check back in later on in the day. Okay, we are closing in on the end of the day. So I thought I would just wrap this up and give you one last update on how things went. We are still in the kiln at 220. The heat treatment cycle was over around 3 o'clock, a little after 3. So I started at 10:30, so it was 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 4.5 hours it took to complete the heat treatment cycle. And that was getting it up to 140 internal temp and then holding it for 1 hour. And then I figured what I was going to do was just keep this thing going, and I'm going to stoke up the fire a little bit now, and then I'm just going to let it burn out overnight tonight and then take the wood out tomorrow morning. So it will have, I don't know, a couple more hours of baking inside there. So we are still at around 230 inside the kiln for the temp, and then we still have a nice bed of coals in there going. So I'm going to add a little wood to that and then keep it going. Like I said, it'll probably burn for another, I don't know, 2-3 hours. And then just as the coals go out, I mean, the temperature will drop and it'll still be, you know, heating the wood and drying it all the way down to like 150 or even below that. So we'll just let that burn out and sit overnight. So when these things were freshly split this morning, they had a moisture reading of around 30, mid-30s. So they were in the mid-30s just to see what it came down from. So it was at around 35, we'll say, and now we are reading 10, 11%. And this one, we've got 14%. So the wood went from around the mid-30s down to 10, 12% just on the outside. Once these things are done tomorrow morning, then I'll crack one of them open and check the inside moisture. I'm guessing it's going to probably need a little bit longer to dry out and season fully. The main objective today was to just get that outside damp, wet, sugary sap, water, whatever it is in this maple that came out and caused the mold on the outside when I peeled the bark off. I just wanted to get that dried down, and I think this did the job. I mean, those pieces in there, they felt hot, they felt dry, they weren't wet like they were when they were freshly split this morning. They were pretty damp. You could kind of just feel just by touching them that they were wet. So I'll get a little bit more wood in here. We'll let this bake for another, I don't know, a couple hours, however long. I'm not going to come back like during the night and put any more wood in. So once it burns out, it'll be burnt out. But I think the goal was accomplished. Getting this stuff at least to the point where the outside is dry. It's not going to mold. And now it might take another, I don't know, tomorrow morning if the inside is still, you know, 25, 35% moisture, that stuff will then season pretty quick, because there will still be moisture on the inside that will probably draw and work its way out to the outside. But getting that surface moisture off, that was the main goal today, and I think we accomplished it.